the podcast, and we are now recording for YouTube. Getting dead good at this. How the hell are we?
Yeah, good, thanks. Are you?
Yeah, tip top, thank you. I suppose I should do my intro as well, shouldn't I? Hello, everybody in YouTube land and podcast land. Welcome to another show. As you can see, we're joined by another guest, or hear that we're joined by another guest. Do you want to? I think you've been on the podcast before, haven't you? Do you want to tell people a little bit about you?
Yeah, sure. Yes, I'm Carrie. I run Carrie's Canines and Friends in Coventry, and I specialise in training puppies, and also now I specialise in separation anxiety as well.
I bet you've been busy.
Yes, yeah, quite a bit recently.
Have you seen an increase in them?
In which ones?
Well, both, because they've both been a hot topic, haven't they?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's actually definitely an increase in both. Yeah, puppies. I think everyone knows about how many puppies are being bought at the moment, and it's not dropped off yet. It's really not dropped off yet. There's still a really high demand for puppies. So yeah, classes have been full up in one-to-ones, working one-to-one with clients. There's a lot of puppies around.
Yeah, it was crazy, wasn't it? Was the stats like a 200% increase or something like that in people getting puppies?
Yeah, and the demand's still really high, so there's still people struggling to get the dogs they want.
Bloody hell, it's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. So I guess like most people will probably know about puppies and whatnot. Shall we dive into the separation issues, because we've not really done much of that on the podcast?
No, we haven't. No.
Shall we?
Yeah, we can.
Spoil them. Yeah. As you can see, guys, we have absolutely zero structure for this podcast.
Really organised.
We didn't get a beer out and just crack a podcast out over
Well.
Oh, I've stuck with the juice. Right, separation anxiety. For anybody who perhaps doesn't know what it is or doesn't have a full understanding of what it is, what the fuck is it?
Yeah, so separation anxiety, it could be, sorry, we might just have a little bit of a barking dog. Real life train, thank you. One moment, guys.
Real life with dogs. I'm waiting for somebody to knock on my door and Milo kick off one day.
Real life, dogs bark.
They do. I just said I'm waiting for the day that somebody knocks on my door and I'm doing an interview and you hear all the Milo go, "Mom, someone's here!" Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, separation anxiety. What is it? It's when your dog can't. There's a couple of different ones. When your dog can't deal with being alone, completely alone, so no one else in the house. And it can be when they're got like an attachment to one person. They struggle when that one person, even if they've been left with somebody else, they can't deal with that one like caregiver not being there. So yeah, because we've all been stuck at home for the past year now. It's over past year, isn't it? On and off. There's definitely an increase in this. Our dogs have got used to. First of all, they had to get used to us being there. Now they've got to try and get used to us going again, which is a lot for them to deal with. Yeah,
it is, isn't it? What do they say roughly is a time frame for a dog to adapt to like the change? So if a dog was used to an owner being out in a routine, etc., what's the rough? Do you know what a rough approximation of time is?
No, I think it really depends. It's just dog training for word, isn't it? But it depends. It depends on the dog. Really depends on the dog. It depends, if they can deal with change. There's a lot of dogs out there that aren't very good at dealing with change. Some dogs are quite flexible and deal with change, but some really struggle.
Yeah, I guess it would vary depending on the dog, wasn't it? And I guess the character of dogs, some will take it more in the stride and some will just like freak out from the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was I going to say? I just had a total brain blank. Right, so separation anxiety is troubles with people leaving or the caregiver going. Which have you seen more of one than the other?
You don't see as much as the caregiver. It's generally just being left completely on their own they struggle with. Mm-hmm. Like I said, they've got so used to us being there. And sometimes I think with the body thing, that people don't actually realise that like the body language the dogs are giving off, that actually the dog has got a problem. So it can be anything from the obvious ones, the barking, the howling, the crying, because it's vocal, people can hear it. Dogs can actually more go quiet and almost like shut down a bit, which people don't notice it as much because it isn't almost like a problem because you can't hear it. There could be much more subtle ones like shaking, lip licking, It's much more like more subtle body language. The owners don't notice it's such a problem until it escalates to a problem, so it escalates and gets worse.
Mm-hmm. And what sort of things can the dog do? Because I imagine for a lot of people when they're going out and they perhaps don't notice the signals, but if somebody's out as well, they might not even have an understanding. So apart from like what's the most severe case for separation problem?
Well, you can get them chewing through walls, chewing through doorways, getting through doorways, trying to escape is quite a common one, trying to escape, out of doors and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, really it can massively vary.
Mm-hmm. It's I mean, I don't know about you, but my life didn't change a great deal through lockdown. we had a joke, didn't we? It was like, oh, this has been called lockdown, has it? Our life has been locked down.
Yeah, I suppose in a way, because we're quite our dogs are, I suppose, lucky in a way, because like you said, during lockdown, our lives haven't really changed. Yeah, I've been at home a little bit more, but my dogs are used to me being around and then going out again. So they haven't struggled as much as me going. So I've been at classes this morning. Two of my dogs come with me anyway. The other one stays at home. Quite happy to stay at home. So he's adapted quite well. That I was starting to go out again because these have only started again recently.
I guess we're quite lucky as well with the I guess from a dog trainer's perspective, or somebody who's avid keen on behaviour and dogs and stuff like that. We kind of prepped last year, didn't we? We were like, right, what we're going to see more of, and we were at an automatic advantage, I think, for knowing and spotting this stuff. With if somebody does find themselves in a situation where they think, my dog's struggling, do you have like, I know it's a case where we need to know a lot more details, but like on a rough estimate, what would be some basic things that someone could do?
Basics, real basics. If my dog can't deal with being on its own, it must not be left on its own to practice. Again, it's practice the behaviour, but it's also not fair. It's not ethically fair to leave your dog in that state of stress and worry. So I'll straight away be saying contact someone. Don't allow your dog to be left on its own. I know it's not easy. There's loads of things you can do these days. You can use things like daycare, dog walkers, friends and family, ask them to help you out. What else is there? There's like different options. So the dog doesn't need to have that need to be left, but then start working on it, because it's not a quick fix. It really is not a quick fix one. It does take time working on separation anxiety. It is small increments and time getting the dog be able to deal with being on his own. One of the big things I would say is, though, please don't use food. Food does not work for treating separation anxiety. So yeah, really important. It's not going to, if you do use food, what can happen is your dog's happy, you've given them a Kong, they're eating the Kong, they finish the Kong, and then they go, they've gone, they have left me. And then panic mode sets in. It's even worse. What can then happen is you give them the Kong, they're happy they've got the Kong, but then you get home, they're like, oh no, he didn't eat the Kong, but he ate it as soon as I came in. That is a sign your dog isn't able to cope, because they can't eat it when you're not there, and then probably wolf it down even faster when you get in. So it's a definite sign. And then what else can happen is you get the Kong out, the dog's in panic mode. Knows what's coming. It's now become a signal that you're about to leave and abandon them. They don't know what's going to be happening. Yeah. So yeah, food doesn't work. Food. I've had emails this week about I've been told by another trainer to use food. I'm just like, yeah, it doesn't work. It's not the way. What you've got to do with them is get them to face their fear without overstressing them. So they're facing the fear and get them to deal with it and cope with it.
Mm-hmm. It's there's some interesting points in there actually, and I just want to come back to the not leaving them alone part, because I imagine, and I was probably guilty of this at one point as well, is like when you discover that your dog's got a problem, it's like I automatically need to fix it, whereas really we miss a big portion of time where, hang on a minute, we need to, people will hear me say this a lot, decompress the dog, isn't it? Get them being comfortable and settled and not panicking that we're going to leave before we get into trying to solve it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. Especially with puppies. I've got an acronym, so I can remember it. Someone else came up with me, I didn't come up with it, called it SAFE. So it's more towards puppies, but to be honest, you're looking at, I think it works with older dogs as well. So SAFE, so S, you're testing me now. Sleepy but not asleep. A was all played out. F was full to me. This is what goes more towards puppies. And E, oh my goodness, what was E? Oh, you've got me now.
Environment.
I was nearly there with it.
Environment, enrichment.
Enrichment, could be enrichment. But basically, it's just getting all your dog's needs met. Are all my dog's needs met before I'm doing anything else? That's what you should be doing with all, first. So yeah, that's something else you can use with work on separation anxiety. If you're going to try and deal with it, if your dog isn't, say, physically tired and mentally stimulated, you're not setting your dog up for success at all. You need to be doing those sort of things first before you even start working on that.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds so simple, doesn't it? It's like making sure the dog's needs are met, but it's easy to, I guess it's easy to say, oh, well, they've been out for the walk and they've had this, I just need to nip to the shop, or I just need to nip to this. Whereas like we used to see in the kennels, and I it used to baffle me until I learned more about it. When a dog came into the kennels, our first job was to take them on the field to walk around and preferably toilet. And there was a good few dogs that got that stressed and worked up with being left in that isolation setup that they basically shit and piss when they got in the kennels. And that can happen in dogs who struggle being left alone at home as well, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
I went off on a bit of a tangent there, but yeah, making sure the dog needs are met
Yeah.
is pretty critical.
And so, some people think, oh, that dog's done it on purpose. It's gone to the toilet while I've been out. They've done it on purpose. They will not have done it on purpose. They literally don't. Yeah, they don't think it through like that at all.
No, and please don't tell them off either, because they just learn to go and do it behind sofas and stuff, and you don't want to be finding that 6 months later.
I don't find that 6 months later, do you?
Definitely not. Just on this topic as well, like how would people know the difference between perhaps a dog that are really struggling with, I know you've spoken a bit about the body language and stuff, but how would they know the difference between an anxious, perhaps dog that's struggling being left on their own, or boredom attention seeking?
So like a bit of a FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yeah.
Literally, yeah. It's actually treated exactly the same way, because both situations, the dog's not dealing with being left on its own. And the type of training that I do actually deals with both of those scenarios. And it works for both, basically. So if you've dogs like that, it's still not coping with being on its own. Yes, it may not be eliminated. It might be barking or howling, or it might not be doing any of the other typical things. But it still can't do with being left on its own, so it still needs help. Mm-hmm. I would say as well on body language, I've named a very small amount, but you do also get other bits of body language that will be unique to your dog. If your dog tries to bite you as you leave the house, that could potentially be a sign that it can't deal with when you go. They're rarer, you see those ones, but you still do see them.
Yeah, and I guess it comes back to it depends, doesn't it? It depends on the dog, it depends what they've learned. Would you say there are any more breeds that are prone to separation anxieties than others?
Not so much. And you can, any dog could potentially get separation anxiety. There's different ways where it can come from. Whether the mum might have had stress before the puppy was born, it can come from early as that. So you can get puppies with separation anxiety. It does exist. A lot of people say, well, you must have created it. Not necessarily. Sometimes it can be inbuilt in them. But yeah, you can do stuff that does cause it to come out more as well, unfortunately. But if that's happened, it's happened. There's no point beating yourselves up about it, is what I always say. If it's happened, it's happened. It's how you deal with it going forwards.
Yeah, exactly. Whether it's been learned or genetics and stuff, it's what matters moving forward, doesn't it? For sure, definitely.
Absolutely.
I was going to ask you a question. How long have I got you for, Carrie? Because I know you're on am I good at the minute?
Yeah, you're good. Good.
Okay, cool. So you spoke earlier about it potentially taking a hell of a long time. Like what sort of time frame do you give people when training this?
Well, for example, I'm running a 4-week course at the moment. The 4-week course will not fix the dogs. It's the start of the program, really. Mm-hmm. I do a game called Door is a Bore. You've got to make the doors are interesting. Doors go places. Going out the front door is also meaning you are leaving. So you've got to get your dog trainer word, desensitized to you leaving the door, to it becoming less of a big deal. Door is a Bore has 10 stages. I get people doing, it depends where people are starting, if I'm honest. A lot of people do need to start at this level though. And they have to do each step 10 times and get success before I let them move on to like the second step. And that is as little as you standing up and sitting down 10 times, and me making sure the dog's body language is happy and comfortable with you doing that before you can even step away from the sofa. So it really depends where your dog is at. I always do like a bit of an assessment to find out where the dog is at first. But that's an example of that. That's where people start. Until you get to 5 seconds outside, I know it doesn't sound like a long time, but it is. It is for a dog with separation. 5 seconds is a long time. That is when we start working what we call target durations. So I will set a time that you go outside your front door for, and then to come back in again. This is all going into it a bit deep now, but you have like little warm-ups before you do your target durations. You'll have like 9 little steps, and then you'll have a go at doing say 6 seconds out the door, 7 seconds out the door, and it does build up as slowly as that. It's all worked on percentages, and it's worked on a proven formula someone else has done that's helped thousands of dogs.
Yeah, well, it's useful, isn't it? And I think that people with, if somebody finds themselves in this situation, and I'm a big advocate for, for informing people, or like, this is what you're going to walk into. Like, we have it with reactivity or barking or whatever you want to call it. And I think it's useful for people to understand that there's no magic wand, there's no click of the fingers. Like this work is up here, isn't it? And if we think about it in like human terms, for anyone listening going, oh, well, I thought it'd be quicker than this. You can't like change, I don't know, anxiety by taking a pill and everything's fixed, can you? You can't change, I don't know, what's a pretty severe mental disorder. You know what I mean? You can't just fix it like that. And it's the same for the dogs, because it's not just training, is it? It's inside the dog's head. There's a lot of cogs turning for them poor buggers.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's useful for people to know how long and what they're walking into. Have you got anything else that you want to mention that I might have missed on while I think of something to ask you, because I'm totally prepared, fresh off the dog training.
A big one, but I'm going to do a disclaimer first. I am not a vet. I'm not prescribing anything. I'm not even going to talk about any kind of names. But medications do absolutely help with separation anxiety. It used to be like one of the things that people went to last. Now it should be something you'd be thinking more first. Get yourself a good vet if you haven't got one already. Someone you can talk to openly with about the situation. Someone that preferably understands a bit of separation anxiety or has worked with a dog with separation anxiety before. Giving your dog that extra bit of a boost can help. Some of the myths about medication, because it's anti-anxiety medication, it'll turn my dog into a zombie. That came from like, I think it was the 50s or 60s when was it Prozac was around and made everyone a bit zombie-like. Humans I'm talking about, because all the dog medication, it's all human medication. That's where that little bit of myth came from. It's not like that these days. It will change my dog's personality. It might just actually bring your dog's actual personality out without the anxiety being there. So actually just bring your normal dog out. Yeah. I'm trying to think what the other myths are that people the cost of it as well. The cost of it, speak to your vet. Again, speak to your vet. There's different ways. You don't have to buy the most known brand, just like with humans. There's cheaper options. Speak to your vet about that. You can find those out. Again, that's what I'm saying. I'm not a vet, but this is stuff you need to speak to openly about your vet with. And even like prescriptions. So you don't have to buy medication from your vet. You can ask for a prescription. They do charge 15, I've heard 20 quid recently, and then buy your own medication off the internet. Just be careful where you buy it from. If it's too cheap, it's too good to be true. It's that old saying, isn't it? But they should just have like little symbols at the bottom to say it's good medication for dogs. But yeah, there's different options. And if you're spending, I don't know, how much does daycare cost these days? 50, 60 quid? I don't know, probably not that much some places.
I wouldn't have a clue.
If you're spending, so you've got to go to work, but your dog can't be left at home, and your dog's going into daycare 5 days a week, on a Saturday morning as well, actually, because you've got to go to the food shop on the Saturday morning. That's quite a lot of money each week you're spending already on helping your dog deal with it. If you spend some of that money on the medication, then you're not going to pay for daycare in the future. So it'd be technically a saving in the future. It's just some. What I say is just something for you people at home to think about. I'm not there,
isn't it? It's a short-term investment, because you won't need to pay that forever, will you?
No.
You've just reminded me of Joanne in Evolution was on about, she's been working with separation anxiety with Tinks, and she actually went to her vet to speak about getting some medication to potentially help Tinks, and talks it through, and the vet kind of like totally dismissed it. Now I know this can come down to the individual vet. It might have been the vet nurse, and they might not have an understanding and stuff, but I wanted to just quickly pick up on this because she kind of found herself in a place of like, now what? Like, I don't know what to do. What would you advise for somebody who potentially found themselves in that problem, has listened to this podcast, gone down to the vets to talk about it, and the vets have just said, we'll just keep some treats by the door, which isn't going to fix it, is it? You know, because vet advice, without dismissing them too much, can conflict with our advice, can't it?
It can.
Any advice?
I would suggest probably go see a different vet. Go speak to a different vet. Get a second opinion. Speak to friends who've got vets. What are their vets like? I've recently changed my vet. Very, very lucky. I found someone that actually knows a lot about dog behaviour as well. So I'm extremely lucky because she's just got that extra bit of knowledge. Because vet isn't a trainer. It's not a behaviourist. It's not a nutritionist either. They give advice on food. I think they do 1 or 2 days training about food, and that's it. Is what I've been told. But where do you go first to find out about food? You ask your vet. But they don't do that. If you need any advice on nutrition, go to dog nutritionists. They exist. Not everyone knows they exist.
Yeah, no, definitely agree. It's tough, isn't it? They hold such a, like, we're not dissing vets here at all.
No, not at all. They have so much to learn. They've got like a ridiculous amount to try and figure out. They've got to find out what's going on with our dogs without them talking back to them.
Nobody knows everything, do they? I mean, crikey, like if somebody came to me with a veterinary problem, I was like, go and see your vet. And yeah, so I just wanted to pick up on that because somebody might find themselves in the same sort of situation.
Yeah, it's hard. I would probably go see what your friends' vets are like. Probably I'd get a second opinion from another vet. I'd say we're not dissing vets in the slightest. They've got so much to try and work out about our dogs. For is it? And not all. That's why I said try and find one that's a vet that's dealt with a dog that's had separation anxiety before, because they'll just understand more. Or someone that's interested about that goes, oh, I've not dealt with this before, but we can look into this together. So that for me that would be awesome. Yeah, let's work it out. Because with medication, you're very, very unlikely to get it right the first time. So you might get the right prescription, but getting the right dose might be really hard. You might get the wrong prescription, so then you've got to try a few different ones to find what works for your dog, and then you've also got to get the dosage right. So it is a bit of trial and error with it as well.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting.
Go on.
Carry on.
I was just going to mention alternative medicines as well. I'm recently changed my mind slightly more on these. I've always been one for trying those first. Looking at the scientific backup of it all, there isn't a lot there. It's not a lot there at all. Being on courses that I've been on recently, I always update, as we do as dog trainers, updating our knowledge. It's made me question it all a little bit more. And just like with the medications for the doctors from the vets, you've got to try and find the one that suits your dog as well. So, but these ones, they do cost a lot of money.
Are you on about the natural remedy sort of things?
But no natural remedies. So I've tried one, it was quite a while ago now. I think I spent 150, 160 quid on it. Got a tub and a half of it downstairs, didn't bother giving the rest of it. Didn't work, didn't make any difference to my dog. How much waste of money was that? And how many times have I done that with different brands? Have I seen any difference in my dogs? Not enough to be still doing any of them. I've recently put one of my dogs who does have like worries, anxious, definitely anxious. So he's trialing some from the vet now. So if that works for him.
Do you think a lot of that stuff is like, I might be going down a very challenging road here, but do you think a lot of that like natural stuff is more head based?
I don't. Yeah, it's a really hard one, isn't it? I prefer personally myself as well to try and do more natural stuff than before reaching for paracetamol out of the cupboard.
Yeah.
At the same time, so that's why I was trying it with my dogs, and I do know some of like the ingredients they use. Like L-tryptophan is one that's coming to my mind at the minute. Has been proven in humans and stuff as well. And I was very into it's Caroline Ingram that does how to heal your dog. It's called, or something. Using all the natural stuff, which really interests me. So it does it? Yeah, I just don't know. It's the fact the scientific backup isn't there. But then does your dog naturally seek stuff on walks? Yes, my dogs definitely naturally seek stuff on walks. They seek specific grasses. My dog knows if it needs to be sick sometimes, and it goes and seeks to do that. Mm-hmm. And it's a really hard one. It's more with the separation, I'd say more is because I don't want people to spend hundreds and hundreds of pounds on the what I'd call alternative, I suppose, medicines. when you could go to the vet and get help that way.
Yeah, well done for bringing it back, because I was just about to go down a different road then, but it's maybe that's a topic for another podcast.
Yeah, you could actually talk about that for ages. But yeah, I'm not saying they don't work, and if it works for your dog, absolutely awesome. I've known dogs, certain ones, like you, Calm, I know that's worked for some dogs for sure. Is it working, or is it one of those like what we call placebo? If it's working, does it matter if it's placebo? No, I don't think it does, if I'm honest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, if it's working set up, then by all means carry on. What do you think to the plugins and stuff like that?
Not keen.
And the shirts and stuff like that they're putting.
Yeah, you've got I've tried all of these as well. I'm happy to admit. Yeah, these actual plugins, that's the pheromone one. So you get plugins, you've got collars, if they do tablets. The plugins, if you've got big rooms, they don't work anyway. Who doesn't have an open plan house these days? Most people do, don't they? Don't work in them because the room. I don't need this. But loads. I go to a lot of clients' houses, and quite often it's an open plan house, and you've got to try and figure out certain things in the house. Dog training, but so they don't work in those kind of houses. The collars. If you sprayed some perfume on me, I didn't like, and then who's walked? Yeah, there you go. Who's walked into like a used? Oh, does it exist anymore? Does it? Debenhams used to walk in, used to like spray you with perfume, didn't they? In the old days, and then you stuck with the fucking rest of the rest of the day.
Cute.
Cheers. Now I've got a smell on me that I don't like on me all day. Yeah, so you're doing that to your dogs, putting that collar on them. If they don't like, you don't know if they like it or not. It's the same with the. I quite like the Pet Remedy. My friend was convinced it really helps her dog as well. Do I like the fact that you're spraying on them? No, I really don't. Again, spraying something on me that I don't like, I'm stuck with it for the rest of the day, I would not be happy. So why should your dogs have to deal with that? When I used to use that, I'd spray it on me because that gives your dogs choice. I like the dogs to have choice to get away from something.
That was my next question. How would you test that?
Yeah, most people don't like that one as well because what's it got in it? It's some valerian. I quite like valerian. A lot of people don't like the valerian in it.
Right.
It's a strong smell. But yeah, when I used to use it, I always used to suggest actually spray it on your own trousers. You've got to giving dogs choice is so important. So important.
Oh, that is a topic that I've got to talk about, and I'm not going to go down it because we've had many different topics and avenues. Thank you, Carrie. You've just signed my podcast up for the next few weeks. I love it. So basically, did we do tips? I was going to say, what's your top 3 tips for someone struggling with anxiety, separation anxiety?
We did do tips.
Right, let's do that.
Now you put me on the spot. God.
I think we did something about it earlier, but not 3.
Yeah. So I'd say 1. Don't need, if they're suffering, don't leave them on their own. It's not doing them any favors. And see your dogs. You get these dogs to be like part of our families, don't we? They are part of the family. Do you want to leave them in like signs of stress and just I know it's not easy to work out, and I know it does cost money. But if you do a training plan, just start looking at the end goal basically. Short-term pain for getting the end goal of what have I been telling people recently? Because obviously with lockdown lifting, I was like, well, do you want to go for that meal when lockdown lifts? This is how you're going to be able to get there. Otherwise, you'll be phoning me again in 6 months' time going, yeah, I still can't go out of the house. Yeah. So you can't do those spontaneous going out for a meal, going out for a drink. Nice weather here in Coventry today. Yeah, so nice sort of day you might go, your mate might pop round, go for a pint. Can't do that. Can't leave with the dog. Yeah. I don't know what other tips. I'm not good at these side of things on this part.
Check will be up there, won't it? Checking the diet, vet checks, checking the diet.
Number 2, go see your vet. Speak about medication. Be open about it. Yeah. Number 3 is check your dog is all needs met. Yeah, and checking the diet and stuff as well. We're not going to go into food again as well. But yeah, checking your dog's diet as well. Food has such a massive effect on behaviour. So, and just what works. So what I'm like, so I suppose it's almost a pet hate a bit. Whenever I talk about food, people always ask what my dogs are fed. Every dog is different. Yes, I will share the millions of different. I do share loads of different brands with my dogs as well. They don't stick to one brand. Yes, I can share that. It doesn't mean all of these ones that I feed my dogs will suit your dog. So it's really, again, individuals.
Yeah, but definitely check your food out and make sure you're not feeding shit, because only the other day I had I can't think who it was. said, oh, we changed the dog was getting hyper and stuff, and they thought they'd got a right carnage piece on the hand, and then changed the food, and like within 48 hours the dog was normal. So there's another topic in itself.
Yeah, I had a puppy doing the same. A puppy recently, last 6 months, do exactly the same. Changed the food. It went from being a bitey shark monster to, oh, it's not that bad, to be honest.
That's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty. I think it was a little Mushka, little German Shepherd pup, and they says, "Oh God, how do we deal with this?" Yeah, they swapped the food and sorted it out. Cool. So, is there anything else we should cover on separation anxiety? I'm conscious because I know you've got a client after this, haven't you, and the time and stuff. But I'm just trying to think of. I think we've probably covered.
Yeah, it gives you a bit of overview, something to think about. Think about medications. Think about, actually, does my dog suffer it? Cameras these days are brilliant to have. They don't have to be 300, 400, 500 quid. You can get them for like 20, 30 quid these days. They're really cheap. They're much better. Even than, I've got a new puppy now. I think when I bought the camera from Eric's, that's 4 years old. I got the difference from that camera from 4 years ago to now, and the price difference, I had to pay quite a bit for it. It was over 100, 150 quid. You can get them for like 20, 30 quid these days.
Attached to your phone, and
yeah, attached to your phone, you're sorted.
Not that you should be leaving your puppy or your dog, but no. To seeing if you've got a problem for sure.
Yeah, to keep an eye on them. Yeah.
Fab stuff. So, Carrie, you mentioned that you're running a course on separation anxiety. If anyone like listens to this and go, actually, yeah, I need some help with this, where can they go and find out more about it, and what sort of things do you get them to?
Yeah, sure. So if you go to www.carriescanines.co.uk, I've got a free ebook on there. So grab a copy of my free ebook on separation anxiety, some tips and advice. And you can also, if you want to drop me an email, like info@carriescanines.co.uk, I run it's going to be, the next course is going to be beginning of June, where I'm running, it's a 4-week course on separation anxiety. And then looking into going to a membership, well, depending what you want. So I can give you as much support as you want to help guide you with this, for sure. So you have the 4-week course, which you get guidance on how to start getting your dog to be able to stay on their own without over facing them. And I also offer one-to-ones with this as well, if you want the one-to-one help.
I just turned my mic off then because Duke's kicking up like a fucking good one. I didn't want it to ruin the audio. Brilliant. So carriescanines.com.
.co.uk.
Sorry. And I bet that'd be mega helpful, because accountability and consistency and stuff like this is critical. But I mean, I don't know about you, but whenever I start something, I really need somebody to keep me accountable, because for the first couple of weeks, I'm fine. And then I start filtering. I'm like, oh, I'm filtering off again. Need to get that, So I guess
you get like the daily support with it. So you're getting new targets to do each day. So it tells you you've got to keep doing them. I get you all filming your dogs as well, for you guys to, not just for me, but also for them to have a go at doing it. And we do Facebook group, that's the thing, went from my head, Facebook group. So we can also see that it's not just you suffering with it. And the Facebook group I'm running is really nice. Everyone's supporting each other and helping each other out and sharing all those wins. And if everyone's had someone's had a bad day, everyone speaks to them as well, because it does happen. Dog training, unfortunately, doesn't just do this, does it? It's a little bit.
I was going somewhere of what I did on my Facebook Live one day. That's what a dog trainer do. For real.
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant stuff. Yeah, the community aspect for me is absolutely amazing, because it's easy to think you're on your own, and it's easy to slope off in it. So plenty of avenues to get some support with your dog for separation anxiety. Do go and check it out. Get this cracked down, and then you can enjoy most of your summer, because I bet we're gonna have a hot one. Look at this. I'm in a t-shirt in Buxton.
Not quite a t-shirt.
This is probably one of the first days I've been in a t-shirt. So it's warming up. Fab stuff. Thank you so much, Kerry.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure talking to you, as always. We'll leave it there, shall we?
Yeah, see you later.
Spot on. See you later, guys. Chat next week. Bye.